the results don't change. Why? Well, because accountability rarely reaches the top.
Jimmy Haslam, you suck.
Jimmy, sell the team, please. Thank you.
It is officially time for the team owners who consistently mismanage their organizations to go. So here we are, 10 NFL owners who need to step down ASAP. Stephen Ross, Miami Dolphins. He took over majority ownership in 2009, and, well, it hasn't gone well since. You see, ever since he took over 17 years ago, the Dolphins have hovered slightly below mediocrity with a 131 and 146 overall record. In that period, the team has just made the playoffs 3 times, each ending in a wildcard loss, and has gone through 8 different head coaches. 2026 will represent the 9th head coach since Ross took over. If only the on-field product was the only issue, but it's not. You see, the Finns have been penalized for tampering violations, faced scrutiny for a bullying scandal, and were accused of racism by a former coach. A new owner could maybe, hopefully, bring the forward-thinking leadership needed to return the Dolphins to Super Bowl contention. George Halas McCaskey, Chicago Bears. George Halas founded the Bears in 1920 and led the organization until his death in 1983. Majority interest transferred to his daughter, Virginia Halas McCaskey, who retained it until she passed in 2025. The franchise now rests under the guidance of her son, George McCaskey. After being family-controlled for 106 years, it might seem sacrilegious to suggest that the Halas McCaskey family sell the team, but come on, they really should. Since their last Super Bowl appearance, they lost in Super Bowl 41, the Bears have made the playoffs just 4 times in the last 19 years. They have repeatedly failed to develop any type of consistent winning football and have suffered from instability caused by a rotating cast of GMs and coaches, stunting any and all player development across the organization. Since the Bears haven't won a title since 1985, I think it's clear that the organization would really benefit from new leadership. And finally, McCaskey has done something once thought unthinkable. Not only did he move the Bears out of Chicago, he moved them out of Illinois. That right there is criminal. Irsay sisters, Indianapolis Colts. Another longtime family-run business, the Colts were bought by Robert Irsay in 1972, who moved the team to Indianapolis in 1984. Jim Irsay took over ownership duties in 1997 and held the position until his death in 2025, at which point leadership was transferred to his 3 daughters. While we've yet to see how effective the sisters are at running the Colts, they should maybe consider selling the team. There's the issue of the ownership structure. Irsay Gordon is the owner and CEO, Foyt serves as owner and executive vice president, and Jackson is owner and chief brand officer. I don't know, that type of structure seems like a recipe for disaster. Splitting leadership duties brings about the threat of operational gridlock, differing visions, and internal friction. Look, we're just saying it might be best for the sisters to move on. John Mara and Steve Tisch, New York Giants. You know, it's kind of sad to see the state of disarray that they've fallen into over the last 14 years. The Giants have continually underperformed, with only 3 winning seasons and 2 playoff appearances over that span. They've been plagued by horrible front office hires, drafts, and have not produced cornerstone players.
I'm gonna have a tough time sleeping if Saquon goes to Philadelphia, I'll tell you that.
The traditional mindset that prevails throughout the entire Giants organization no longer aligns with the fast-paced, analytically driven modern NFL. It's time for new blood in New York. Fresh owners could completely revitalize the organization, and an injection of fresh capital could refresh MetLife Stadium, establish a winning culture that has been missing for way too long. Mike Brown, Cincinnati Bengals. It's a bit tough to know what to make of the Bengals. I mean, they're not a bad team, but they're also not a great team. In fact, for the better part of the last 3 decades, they've been one of the poster children for mediocrity. And that's all due to the ownership of Mike Brown. Since taking control of the organization in 1991, fans have voiced their anger and frustration, with many calling for Brown to sell the team. And you know, they might just be right. You know what's missing though? A Super Bowl title. And Brown's reluctance to spend money is a big part of that. Jerry Jones, Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones will not be selling the Cowboys. In fact, he's repeatedly stated that the team will be kept in the hands of his family. There's no real reason for Jones to sell the team. I mean, heck, it's his dream job, and since the franchise is valued at over $12 billion, it remains a cash cow. However, he is, without a doubt, one of the most disliked owners and fans, as well as the NFL itself, would prefer if Jones sold the Cowboys. From a fan perspective, there are many reasons that they would hope Jones sells. The team has not won a Super Bowl since the 1995 season over 31 years ago, and for a team that prides itself on being America's team, that is an unacceptable drought. Additionally, Jones serves as both owner and general manager, which removes any accountability from the front office, and his heavy-handed ownership style means that he's constantly meddling in the draft, free agency, trades, and coaching decisions. There are many critics who believe that Jones is too focused on marketing, maximizing stadium revenue, and media hype, and that he's not focused on building a winning organization. For years, the Cowboys have suffered from heartbreaking postseason failures that have exhausted their fan base. In their eyes, the only path back to organizational greatness is for Jones to put the team up for sale. Although, again, that is unlikely to happen. Basically ever. Jimmy Haslam, Cleveland Browns. There really should be no surprise to see Jimmy Haslam and the Browns on our list. Cleveland has been the most dysfunctional franchise in the NFL for decades. It is that exact prolonged organizational dysfunction that drives the fans' desire for Haslam to sell the team. Since purchasing the team in 2012, the Browns have amassed a 78-150-1 record. That amounts to just 2 winning seasons in the last 14, and a 2-year stretch in which the Browns went 1-31. Under the Haslam regime, the organization has cycled through 7 coaches. Todd Monken will be the 8th in 2026. They've had numerous general managers and a constant reshuffling of the roster. And speaking of the roster, I think it's fair to question the judgment of the owner when he signed off on the trade to acquire quarterback Deshaun Watson, and then, despite dozens of sexual assault allegations against him, reward the quarterback with a fully guaranteed $230 million contract. Not only did that roster move alienate a large section of the fan base, it has also crippled the team's salary cap. Fans just want a team that they can be proud of and, root for.
I think the fact that this franchise has not done better the last 2 or 3 years the blame lies squarely with me.
And unfortunately, the fractured relationship between owner and fans will continue until new leadership is brought in. David Tepper, Carolina Panthers. David Tepper took control of the Carolina Panthers in 2018 and then watched as they've gone on to suffer 8 straight losing seasons with 1 playoff appearance and 0 playoff wins. They did make the playoffs in 2025, but that was with an 8-9 record. Losing has been the way of the Panthers under Tepper, and that has made him a very unpopular owner. Clearly, the man has no patience, as he is now on his 7th head coach. In fact, just for reference on Tepper's impatience, in their history, the Panthers have had a total of 10 head coaches. His often heavy-handed meddling in football operations, from numerous front office changes to interfering in the team's draft process, has absolutely impacted the direction of this franchise. It was reportedly his demand to draft Bryce Young over CJ Stroud. It's very possible that some of his decisions have set the organization back quite a few years. Woody Johnson, New York Jets. If the Browns are the most dysfunctional team in the NFL, then the Jets are probably number 2. Not only do the Jets lose, they find embarrassing ways to do it. I mean, come on, no one can forget the fake spike or the butt fumble. Good times. Under the ownership of Woody Johnson, who took control of the team in 2000, the excessive losing has only continued. In the last 25 years, New York has had a record of 176-245, a 418 winning percentage. They have been so bad that the playoffs aren't even a thought. In fact, Gangrene hasn't made a trip there since 2010 and hasn't seen a Super Bowl since the 1968 season. The culture of losing is so pervasive that fans are simply waiting for something bad to happen. The failure to establish a stable winning culture falls directly on the shoulders of Johnson, though. It is his poor decision-making that has repeatedly failed this organization. Whether it was questionable front office hires, changing coaches and GMs out of sync, or bad roster moves that handicapped the team, he has done nothing to help this team win. Mark Davis, Las Vegas Raiders. Since 2003, there have been just 2 winning seasons and only 2 playoff games, both losses. Now, all of that cannot be blamed on Mark Davis, as he took control of the Raiders in 2011. But Davis has made several high-profile missteps, like the failed rehiring of John Gruden or hiring Josh McDaniels, both of which derailed any success the team was having. He also managed to anger and alienate an entire fan base when he relocated the team from Oakland to Las Vegas. So, until it happens, fans will just have to dream about the day that the Davis family is finally gone. But hey, What NFL owner do you think needs to step down as soon as possible? Are there any notable names that we should have included on this list? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.